Hey, old double 1-8 set Shadow here. So let's see where we're going in today's market. Starting off with Elementaria Sanctitude, now that we have a newer print of it coming from the Urara Master Deck set. Well, on top of that, we also have the Michiru Hazama version of it, which is the one that came out at Festival 2024. But without any real significance for this card in comparison to the original, this card still doesn't really have any place in the format and is therefore still significantly cheaper in comparison to the original. The original is still the preferred version to play, as there are still some grade 4 decks that you'll have to worry about here as we go. On top of that, when you consider that the Michiru Hazama Master Deck set itself reintroduces Drajul's grade 4, it only further amplifies the use of the original Sanctitude for those who are anticipating people to try and play that deck again. Not to mention we do have Drajul's new support in DivineZ 8. But the original Elementaria Sanctitude is still pretty varied in its price across all of its listings. The lowest copies that we've got are basically $15 right now, but they can go up as high as 25 and even 28 for some of the base printings that you can get. As a reminder, we originally got this as part of the first wave of trial deck sets for Urara and Michiru, and then we got the premium deck set versions. We also have the full art promo that came with a full art promo pack that was issued at tournaments. And then there are some others here and there in terms of like lotto pickups from promo packs in some of the other starter deck sets. But ultimately, while the card still has so many prints, it's still got a lot of value overall, being at least $15. Because if you take a look at the count, we're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 versions that are all exactly the same. You have the full art version, then you have the World Final version, and then you just have the alternate one. So yeah, 8 different ways to pick it up outside of the higher rarities, and the card is still significant. You think of all those other reprints like Maple and Yuika, of course, and they still maintain their value irregardless of the prints, just because of the fact that these cards are so significant in every format, or they just find their way into so many decks. Blessing to the Flowering Buds. This is a set 12 rare that also has a frame rare, and the frame rare is low on listings right now. There are 3 listings on the market, $9 for the base price of this. The market price has been increasing on this one, but it just hasn't seen as many sales. Last sold back at the beginning of June for $5 to $6. Most of these copies have been selling $3 all the way to $6. The available listings right now range from $9 to $20, and the consolidation is at 20 with 4 copies. So overall, there are only 6 copies on the market right now, and ultimately, this is intended for plant tokens. Depending on what we get to see with Ruka's new support that should be coming up, if that's also plant token based, this could be significant. But we'll find out, because at this point, I think the only deck that really has any major use for this card is... what was her name? It was a generic promo for Stoicheia that gets multiple drive checks but sacrifices plant tokens. I can't remember its name off the top of my head right now. Glancel Rotovisor from DivineZ 2. As much as this card just does not see a lot of play, it's still pretty low in listings overall. Again, probably because it's from DivineZ 2. $4 for its lowest listing. The market price has fallen off somewhat, but it's still about $1.50. And in terms of its sales, we're not seeing this card move much higher than $1. There have been a few occasional increases in price, which keep the market price a little bit high. But at this point, all the listings that are available for this card are at least $4. Eventually, we'll probably see more come back, because I don't know of any new Rotovisor support that's really coming. And this card is really hard to sell over $2, I'd say. So, Shiny Star Coral's promo version that you're able to get from the BSF this season. I did want to call out that there was a copy of this for $20 back in the end of June. So, while this did sell for $20, this is Coral. I don't anticipate that's going to be the end price of this card. And if you do happen to see some for higher pricing, this is probably not one where you're going to be able to reference the market price for. Coral is a popular archetype, even if it's not a strong contender for standard, so just keep that in mind. Prelude of Genesis. Well, now's about as good a time as ever to pick these up if you're looking to build Messiah, because these are dirt cheap. Particularly the reprint promo that got issued in the last season, or I think it was the season before that. But they're 19 cents at the lowest right now with 30 listings on the market. And every single printing except the original foil has over 20 listings on the market right now. Market price wise, let's see, the original regular has a market price over 6. The foil is also just over 6 for the reprint, but the original foil is still $13 with a market price of 30, but not likely selling nearly as hot. And the market price on the reprint version is less than $1 too. I'm pretty sure only Black Dwarf really has any significant value in the deck until you start getting to the generic cards, such as like Valtrosa or the Energy Cycler. But aside from that, Messiah's overall core is not that expensive at all. Neatness Meteor Shower, the original common that comes out of set 3, is overall just not moving nearly as well, and his market price is falling out. This used to be a pretty solid dollar card, like higher than just $1, but it's sporadically selling now, and for the most part, we only see it sell just over $1 or just under at around 50 cents for the most part. If you have multiple copies, they do tend to move a little bit, but a lot of the copies that are on the market now have listings that are less than $1 at this point. There are some that still attempt to sell for $2 with a high amount of quantity, but without Gravidia really getting any new stuff and at Gleema anticipating another an actual restriction coming, this card is starting to fall out a lot more. In any case, the only thing that maintains this card's value is the fact that you can play 16 copies. So for anybody who does want this card, in the event that you do see Gravidia support or need more than just 2 or 3, well, just having a bunch is something. Generation Drag Genesis. I want to talk about the booster boxes because they are down. Market price on these boxes has been dropping off for the last several months from a high of 50s to around $41 right now. And that's essentially where listings are kind of holding right now. There are some that are just slightly below that market price, but there are a decent amount of quantities of all of them. I have not seen all of the number versions of Alter Ego and Chronojet pulled yet, but I don't know if people have really been keeping track for a while because I haven't really been seeing anybody post them either. As far as I know, there were only about 4 of each that were actually posted, and then I'm sure for the remainder, if they did all get pulled, they just didn't end up on social media or they ended up somewhere more obscure. Boxes are selling for as high as 45, but that was only around the beginning of June and towards the end. So they're more or less still just going for around $40. There's still decent value in this set, so I would not put it down too easily, except for the fact that the big chase in terms of high rarity, which would be the energy markers, lost a lot of value, which I talked about before. So that dampers the overall pack's worth. However, for Fated Clash, Divine Set 1, this one, despite having a full second printing, you will be having a hard time finding more boxes of this one. I mean, between all the original DivineZ units and on top of that, the only set to contain the energy cyclers at this point, along with some decent cards here and there, there are only 2 listings of this on TCG Player for the market price of about 80 right now. And in terms of its actual sales, they're a pretty constant 90 up until recently, where they've been selling for closer to 82. But that was still last month, and there are just not that many copies on the market at this point. And you have to consider that maybe there was some high shipping and handling, given that these are boxes. To that point of Divine Set 1, I do want to reference Drag Ritter Shura, which could be a potential sleeper depending on what Varga gets later on. The triple rare is currently at a base of 5 with a market price around 6. The silver rare does have a listing in the $5 range, but most of them are closer to 10 and above right now, with a market price of over 12. And the double FR right now is $70 at its lowest, but a market price of about $27. Shura is a really good support card for Varga, so if you don't have a playset yet and you are anticipating Varga getting some decent support, I mean, it's still a pretty good deck overall, just not as popular as it used to be. The LSR for Leversource Chararmont has fallen out since its glory days when Trick or Trick first came out. This used to be a pretty solid high 200 to pass $300 card. And now, in the latest few months, we haven't seen it sell for much higher than 200. Overall listings, we have a decent amount of copies, given that this is an LSR. The highest is 346, with the lowest being 185. There's also Gorgonized Sienna, which is a very unique play style. And this one was also a very big LSR to pick up, but also dropped off. The market price on this one has increased, but it's not a very big increase given just how high rarity this is. We only saw one sale in the last 3 months at 185, and all the listings available top off at 191. Dragon Tree Wretch Skull Chemida. Well, we still did not get alternate versions of the Dragon Tree Marker and Mask Searchers for any of the other nations besides Dragon Empire and what was the other one? Cater Sanctuary, I think. So these are still relevant for players trying to build out on their mask decks. Skull Chemida is currently at a lower amount of listings for its double rare in comparison to its frame rare, and its base pricing is a little bit higher on the double rare at about $6 versus the frame rares at $5.55. And if we take a look at the availability of the frame rare, there are a good number of them that are under $7 to pick up, and a few of them are selling as playsets. Stealth Fiend Forktail is a card I haven't talked about in quite a long time, and that's mainly because this card has just not really been seeing anything ever since Shiranui really fell out. While it's still a good generic for stealths, it's just outclassed by so many specific support cards these days. Right now, you can pick this card up for as low as $2.50, and then they mostly range from the $2 to maybe $4 range, with market prices in that range between its original from Set 5 and the Triple Drive reprint. There's also the secret premium version, Stealth Fiend Kodama, which is also Stealth Fiend Forktail. There are 6 listings on the market for this one, starting at $79. It has had a few sales in the recent months, but the market price is around $68 right now, which is a drop-off. High price on this one is over $200. There is another $180, but there are a good amount of them under $90. And honestly, this could probably fall out further. I don't think there's any deck that really plays this much more at all right now. Even if you consider premium, where it did have some playability, I don't know any deck that really plays it as much as it used to. And that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later.